Bienvenidos a una nueva edición de 100% Seguro Digital. Hoy una entrevista imperdible, realmente muy especial. Vamos a hablar de las últimas tendencias del mercado asegurador en materia tecnológica y en particular lo que es el crecimiento de los seguros de pago por uso. Por eso hemos convocado y está ya conectado de Estados Unidos Eugene Lee, quien es Senior VP y General Manager de Insurancesuite en Guidewire. Realmente un placer. Muchas gracias por estar con nosotros, Eugene.
Thanks, Leo. It's good to be here.
Bueno, la primera pregunta tiene que ver un poco con el diagnóstico que vos hacés y qué pensás puntualmente de lo que son las implicancias y el impacto que ha tenido la pandemia en términos de hiper-conectividad y también lo que es la transformación digital dentro del mercado asegurador.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, digital transformation, to be clear, the pandemic didn't, start the trend, right? It's been a trend in the industry for a decade or more. Insurers have been moving to more online sales and servicing, virtualizing paper and processes, automating workflows, right? The pandemic was like a time machine. Right? The changes in consumer expectations and the employee needs that I think all of us would have expected to take 10 years took place in the course of 1 or 2 years. And so here we are, and feels like we're in the year 2035. But insurers that were already doing these things and who were further along had an advantage when the pandemic hit, and those who had done less were left scrambling, right? And as we think about as we're emerging from the pandemic, hopefully, and we think about the post-pandemic normal, I think we're all starting to realize that many of the elements of the changes that we've been experiencing are more permanent, than we expected. So as we think about digital transformation, that's going to shape the way we respond to it.
Bien, bueno, seguramente hay muchas tendencias que se han visto potenciadas por lo que es el COVID. Una de ellas tiene que ver con lo que son los seguros on demand y también lo que son los seguros de pago por uso, UBI, como se llaman en inglés. ¿Qué nos puede decir puntualmente sobre lo que son este tipo de seguros y también lo que son las soluciones que ofrecen ustedes desde Guidewire?
Yeah. So Guidewire, we launched a usage-based insurance solution back at our user conference back in May, right? And it's actually based on our extensive experience that our customers have had building out usage-based products over the past decade with our platform. Many of those customers were ahead of the curve, right? There was lower adoption of UBI at the time, but as the pandemic hit and consumers drove less, we got a lot more inquiries from customers about how they could get UBI programs off the ground. So that's why we formally launched the solution, and it's the industry's first end-to-end quote-to-claim offering that lets insurers launch UBI products in just a few months, right? So it includes it's a UBI personal lines auto solution, right? So their UBI was more heavily adopted in commercial auto fleets, right? But it's a personal lines auto solution. It leverages our partner ecosystem. We have pre-built integrations to Cambridge Mobile and TrueMotion for the telematics piece, and it can support other telematics providers as well. The solution can be deployed as a greenfield system in a few months. So a fresh Guidewire system can be deployed and live in a few months. The underlying components also are freely available to any Guidewire customer in our solution marketplace, so they can use it and harvest the pieces in their project as they see fit. And it includes the full policyholder lifecycle support, including quoting and buying and policyholder account management.
A ver, muchos coinciden en que los seguros de pago por uso se sienten como coberturas más justas, donde se adapta al perfil de cada cliente, son personalizadas. Yo quería preguntarte a vos cuáles son las ventajas que ustedes observan tanto, por un lado, para los clientes, para los asegurados, como también pensando en lo que es las compañías de seguros.
Yeah. Yeah, I think fair is probably the right term, right? Um, I don't think that insurance was unfair before, but I think with the pandemic, consumers started to think about their lifestyles. I think probably we all did personally, and behaviors, and by implication, the insurance that they needed to cover those lifestyles. A main advantage for the for the insured is that they only pay according to distance and also how they drive, right? So what makes our solution unique is that it includes pay by mile or pay by kilometer, as well as behavioral factors, including distracted driving, hard braking, and excess speed. And I think that for insurers, right, obviously there are pricing benefits. Um, there's sort of the value in the analytics, but I think mostly it's that these societal and behavioral changes are going to be more permanent than we think, right? And so insurance customers are are going to be more considered about the insurance products they buy. And for insurers, offering UBI is a way for them to offer more choice while improving, like I said, pricing as well as customer retention.
A ver, aquí en Latinoamérica y en muchos países pasa que muchas compañías de seguros todavía se muestran un poco reticentes a incorporar lo que es el seguro de pago por uso y telemática, sobre todo aquellas compañías que son grandes aseguradoras que tienen ya una gran cartera de seguros de autos, y por eso, digamos, se pregunta por qué pasa esto, y si es posible adoptar esta tecnología sin alterar lo que es el negocio tradicional, sobre todo en este segmento tan competitivo como es el segmento de automotores.
Yeah. I mean, I think that what we've seen is that there's both the concern that you brought up. There's a lot of interest though, so there's a lot of people thinking about should I be offering this, whereas maybe two or 3 years ago they might have considered it and dismissed it more quickly. Because I think that carriers who don't offer it run the risk of losing customers to carriers who do. Um, I think the one daunting challenge, and that's why we launched our solution, is really just the cost and complexity, like how to run a program like this, what are the partners, how to do the pricing. And so, and then you contrast that with the fact that UBI premiums on their own may not be that high, right? I mean, the real reason, like I mentioned already, is to protect retention, right? So if you lose 1% of your policyholders to the 1% of premiums is not going to be that high, especially since it's UBI usage based. But that 1% churn is significant, right? And so, but so that's why we focused on offering our UBI in a package that could be implemented, and we really focused on trying to do that in a few months, right? Get something going, get it up and running. It's just an advantage that we feel like with our platform we can offer to our customers, and they can benefit from the partners in our marketplace, right? And I think from an insurer perspective, UBI is just a form of product expansion. I mean, insurers are always looking to offer additional insurance products that customers want and need. Those products may represent large premium potential, or it may just represent more choices so that customers stay, right? And I think that you know it's hard to predict how large the UBI market will be because we're in the midst of large scale changes. But there are large scale changes in consumer behavior. But there are analysts who predict that the global market for UBI will reach 100 billion in premium in the next 5 years. I don't know that I would bet my career on that, but I think that I think insurers want to be in a position to take advantage of these market trends when they arise, right? And so I think that the reluctance will dissipate because while I don't know that I'm not sure if UBI, for example, will exceed non-UBI based auto policies.
Ujú.
I think it will be meaningful, and I think that insurers will need to offer UBI to their customers alongside other options.
Sí, sí, sin duda hay necesidad de un cambio en el mindset digital de aquellos que forman parte del mercado asegurador. Y sobre eso quería preguntar también un poco, a ver, en el seguro de automóviles o en lo que son flotas, es donde más vemos comúnmente el crecimiento de este tipo de seguros y lo que es el uso de la telemática. Pero ahora empezamos a ver, por ejemplo, muchas insurtech que están implementando telemática, por ejemplo, en motocicletas. Es un ejemplo nada más de donde puede llegar esta tecnología. ¿Dónde crees vos que puede llegar a utilizarse lo que es telemática y el seguro de pago por uso? Estamos viendo quizás hoy por hoy lo que es y viendo un poco lo que es solamente la punta del iceberg.
Yeah, it's I love questions like this because they're very sort of what can we imagine, right? I think that um, you know auto was an easy place to start, and because obviously in commercial auto, telematics was used extensively, has been used extensively over the last decade. But really, with the pandemic, I think we all are beginning to accept the principle that it's like risk is not just person based, or it's not just static. It's usage based. There's a lot of risks that are usage based. So, I mean, the most obvious example would be you don't buy travel insurance as a subscription. You pay for it by the trip, right? And I think that the explosion of connected devices creates potential for a lot of creative potential insurance products. So it's not always that you pay on a yearly basis for as much as you want to drive. Some customers don't want to do that. And so usage and behavior-based insurance could be based on things like, and I think these things already exist in the market, right? And there are lots of examples of this, but they could be based on things like fitness trackers. You uh, they could be based on things like home assistants or smartwatches, right? And those things, you could think of them as risk reduction based on maybe exercise or based on health characteristics that come through your watches, but they could also be usage based, motorcycles, um, home devices, thermostats, right? I mean, I think we're only at the just scratching the surface of the potential.
Bueno, ustedes tienen muchos clientes, pero te voy a pedir si puedes contarnos por lo menos un par de ejemplos de clientes de Guidewire que ya utilizan seguro de pago por uso y telemática y sobre todo pensar a ver y que nos cuentes qué han ganado a partir de implementar este tipo de tecnologías.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel very like we're in a very privileged position as Guidewire to serve so many insurers worldwide and to just learn from they how they drive their business goals forward using our platform, right? And it's the learning from those customers that helped us to offer sort of this package solution to build these partnerships with the telematics providers. One of our customers, CAA Insurance in Canada, launched Canada's first pay-as-you-drive insurance plan called MyPace, and they built it on our platform. Obviously, they were excited to offer this new product to their customers, especially, they actually launched it before the pandemic, but especially in the context of the pandemic, they were ready as driving habits decreased. From a business perspective, they were also pleasantly surprised that 70 to 80% of policies on MyPace were actually new to CAA. And that the vast majority of people sort of who have this policy were actually represented new business. If we go onto another continent, Friday is the first digital full service digital car insurer in Germany to offer coverage paid by the kilometer. Right, so they leveraged Guidewire InsuranceSuite, our rating solution, and our digital applications, and they produced a complete digital product for private car insurance, right? And sort of rethought how they were going to market from the ground up, right? So they'd included things like pay-per-kilometer billing, monthly cancelable products, digital documents, and even compensation for carbon emissions. And in addition, their customers are able to bind and issue a policy within 90 seconds. And Friday's actually been in production in InsuranceSuite with Guidewire since 2017.
Bien, bueno, Eugene, muchas gracias. Para terminar, tengo una última pregunta que tiene que ver un poco con pensar a futuro, ¿no? Y qué ves a nivel seguro de pago por uso en materia de expectativas, ¿no? Lo que viene, la previsión, tanto en lo que son mercados desarrollados, como también pensando un poco aquí, en lo que son los mercados de seguros en nuestra región, en Latinoamérica.
Yeah, I think that it's a growth opportunity, right? I mean, I think that whether you believe, and I mentioned this earlier, whether you believe that UBI will overtake non-UBI policies, as some believe, or you're more conservative about what the potential for UBI. UBI will be at least a meaningful minority of motor policies worldwide, right? There will be a significant number of people who will want to pay based on their driving behavior, based on how much they drive. And so I think that insurers will need to be ready for that. So whether it means to retain their customers or to grow in new business. And I think that there are insurtechs like Joycar or telematics providers like Octo, right, that are active that are active in Latin America providing this type of insurance. So, I mean, I think that like I said, it's going to be the market could be as much as 100 billion in premium and globally in the next 5 years. It could be less, but it will be big. And I think that getting auto is the easiest place to understand it, but auto won't be the last place it occurs. So the more insurers consider sort of products that are usage based and learn about how to offer products that are usage based, I think it will open up opportunities for some of the things that are right now more speculative, but they'll be more ready for the next trend in the future.